Here's a give to Jim Brown, sweeping left end. He's caught back at the 7, gets a block, hit back at the 5, fights away to the 4, to the 2. One hand's on the ground. Jim Brown bolts into the end zone. Touchdown for Jim Brown.
I got it. Should be good.
Jim Brown was a great man who also happened to play a great game of football.
The greatest running back of all time.
He was bigger and faster and stronger than everybody on the field.
He would just explode.
It looks like a dad playing football in the backyard with his kids.
You couldn't stop it.
Jim Brown not only broke rushing records, but he also broke down color barriers.
We're better as a nation and as a people because Jim always fought back.
He's one of the most important cultural figures in American history, plain and simple.
To be a Brown is to be dominant, respected, determined, charismatic, and multi-talented. The definition of a trailblazing, stargazing, record-setting machine. Or in short, to be Jim Brown is to be legendary. You see, from Georgia's heart on February 17th of 1936, a legend's birth marked the day of true honor. He was a Manhattan-raised baller who progressed to be an Orangeman scholar. True to his tenure, this man was the past, the present, and will forever be the future. Even in his early days, he was considered a two-sport victor. One would he'd feature as a football consensus All-American, and another as a lacrosse national champion. The multi-sport phenom not only laid the foundation for his future success, but for the NFL to be given an example of what it looked like to be the best. And it wasn't long before, after being drafted, his love for the game became paramount. You see, from 1957 to 1965, he gave the world a 9-year tenure that most argue was put to rest too soon. You see, because with Jim Brown, it was never about the years and all about the impact. And despite experiencing the league with shorter seasons, he was still a record-setting machine. From Otto to Orange to Brownie to Elf, we could talk rushing yards, rushing touchdowns, yards per carry, Pro Bowl selections, and even NFL MVP. Because it's 3 if you're counting. Oh, that boy was good. Marvelous Brown. He was the athlete, the bulldozer, the anvil, the icon, the Cleveland Cannon, and the civil rights champion. And trust me, we can go on and on all day long. Because Jim Brown was the truth. Truth he was, or should I say global sensation? Because there were no secrets, no hidden agendas, and no gimmicks. Just his pure ambition to sit next to his natural-born talent. And Hollywood would soon be made aware of that. You see, because Jim was an entertainer at heart, and there was no camera too big for that star of a show. Even Brownie would agree that magic was often his comparison. And we know with magic, there's always something. But this magician wasn't like that. Nothing of resemblance, but instead, he was authentic. And he stood with pride. Because let's be serious, can any of you imagine being the league's reigning supreme in '65? The same year that would mark your football's final goodbye? I didn't think so. But it's cool, because that's just the type of man he was. Making Cleveland proud? Who better fit for the position than First Down Brown?
I want more mental stimulation. I want to have a hand in the struggle that is taking place in our country. And I have the opportunity to do that now.
I was dealing with race since I was born. And in my inner self, my strength was unbending when it came to accepting that BS, racial discrimination. Because I was never going to let anybody make me feel that I was not top shelf.
We have changed many, many lives. And as I stand here right now, our people can carry out the work. They don't need me. And when I leave here, they can still carry out the work and they don't need me.
Running, and running ever since. From 44 to 32 to Hollywood Hills, Jim demanded respect off just as much as he did on the field. But this time not through the strength of the heart and the soul, but through the strength of the calmness of his heart. A change was coming, and he was gonna make sure of it. Because despite all the glory that took place in these stadiums, Jim concerned himself with what was happening out in the streets. I mean, how could you not? The fight for equality and basic civil rights was too loud to ignore. To peaceful protests and marches on the ground, Jim provided ways for each of us to make one sound. Like found in the Black Economic Union, he pillared through financial education and business development, community investment, and most important, advocacy. That was a real commitment to social justice. And he didn't stop there because he was a true American, the middleman for peace and all the good things coming with it. A visionary to have seen the destruction building. No rivalry was too massive or too threatening to be impacted. We thank him for not letting the mayhem run loose. In his name, they respected, and the proof was in Watch Truce. Because although he let retirement call his name, Jim could never quit. He knew all about what it felt like when his backs were against the ropes, and I'm sure Ali could attest to this. So standing side by side his friends in need, the Cleveland Summit was born. Oh, how much power we held in numbers. So united we stand, as this was and will forever be his plan. And speaking of plans, our plan is to always remember him as a catalyst for real change. And without change, he agreed that the world would soon be over. You see, because the beauty of change is not the act itself, but the lasting impact and influence spread nationwide. So to you, Jim Brown, we thank you for your resilience, your hardcore demeanor, and your contagious ambition. The work you have done in society will forever live on, as you are a true testament to the power of using one's platform to make a change. The league is forever indebted, and the world is forever be better. To be a Brown is to be dominant, respected, determined, charismatic, and multi-talented. The definition of a trailblazing, stargazing, record-setting machine. Or in short, to be Jim Brown is to be legendary.